Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirisho here, and now, before I do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Deku, him and Indra were in the land of Bytopia, and Indra, she was happy to meet another one of her kind, a dragonkin. The man, he talked to both of them, and helped them out on their quest. They needed to go out in search for a dragon. The man pointed them in the direction of one. And whenever they went to go find it, Deku met Jack, a pink dragon who was odd for someone of his caliber of power. He was eccentric. He was very much of a jokester. He didn't seem to take things very seriously. And during their conversation, they learned about two other dragons, Zardith and Loth, if I do have her name correct. Now, Deku learned that Zardith was a steel dragon who broke his oath to his friend, and this meant a number of things for them. Latoth, the adamantine dragon, she fell in combat with her allies against a kraken that came to this plane. And Zardith, being the steel dragon who does not intervene, who is more of a pacifist, interested in the ways of mortals and how they live their lives, he took on an oath from his friend. However, he forgot it. He failed to live up to her expectations, and it cost her the rest of her species. The last adamantine dragon died with her, and that it made the man heartbroken. He receded into himself in his final years, and was going over the events of all the lives he's lived as a mortal, learning them, cataloging them, and finally seeing them all play by again and again, without forgetting a single one. Whenever he was awakened by a human, a dragon slayer, and someone who wanted to know why a god sent them after him. Now, the man was quite annoyed. He wanted to live his years in peace and die. See if he may pass on, or if he is going to repeat the cycle again. He learned whenever he was young about it, and ever since, he waited for this day to finally arrive. But now it has been put on hold once more. But Izuku, he made things quite clear. He crossed planes to talk with him for a reason. And Aurora, she sent him here to get his curse broken with the Steel Dragon's help. And the dragon was not willing to help Izuku. That was until Deku revealed he may be able to help him keep his word. And the man was skeptical whenever Deku asked to see one of the eggs that so long ago has fossilized. Now, whenever Izuku used resurrection magic, the first egg hatched. And Zardith, he felt something he hasn't felt in a long time. Joy. Hope. This is the first of an extinct species being brought back. And he made Deku a bit of a deal. He will help him break his curse. In return, he will revive the other four. And it is going to be quite a difficult process for him. Converting one's magical power into essence will help you evolve. It will help you gain more power. Hopefully, it will allow him to break his curse. Beings with essence, they are not typically affected by certain things. And it will give Izuku the power to do so. He will be above whatever is ailing him. And Deku, he spent a few days with his body ravaged by magic, pulling itself apart and trying to adapt to this new form of energy. However, whenever 9 days passed by, over a week, he finally had the power disperse. And Indra was horrified to find that Deku's heart not only stopped, his curse was removed. But that was because he no longer was alive. She got angry before magic went through Deku's body once again, jump-starting him and sending him to another plane, where he was found crash landing into the forest of a mountain by some kid in a random village. And with that being said, let us pick up there. We do currently have Izuku, who does go being somewhat grunting and feeling strange. Him feeling blistering pain shoot through his back, his arms, his shoulders, his stomach, his guts, his mind, his eyes. And he does get somewhat trying to sit up. Right now, him grunting with effort and going to bring his left arm up to his head. And they do begin to make a noise. Him hearing something stir as he does get to turn his head. Hearing a voice as the door does slam. And that does get to hurt his ears. And Izuku, he does get to just sit there for a minute. His mind is so clear. He feels off. Something's missing. No. Fury isn't active. He feels terrible, but that's the best sleep he's gotten in. Indra. Shit, where is Indra? Him looking out the window next to his bed. And he does get to see that it is the early morning. The sun is a bit more in the air. And he does get to stare up at the blue sky he does see. Clouds passing overhead and informing him of one thing. He's back on the material plane. And this does alarm him. Right now, him going to look down and go to try and access his system. Before it does inform him, congratulations. Magical convergence successful. 20% of his magical power was converted into essence. And he has awakened the Planeswalker spark within him. Embers were active. Deku's staring at this alert, and it does go to inform him. Only one of 3 skills currently exist. Planeswalker Spark. 1 of 3 active. What the hell? Congratulations. You have become a Planeswalker. Would you like a tutorial? I'm looking down at that. Before he does go to hear the door open. Him blinking away the notification. And right now he is a turn. His eyes going wide as a woman does go to approach him. Her with long blonde hair and a familiar face. Reno making her way over and going to sit down on the stool that is next to his bed, asking him if he's alright. Yes, I'm sorry. Where am I? You're currently in Ravenlight. It's a small city. Tell me, do you know where you are? What is your name? I'm sorry. My name is Izuku. I'm not sure where I am, actually. You're in Ravenlight. You're nearby. You're in Kila. Kila. Wait, the kingdom? Not necessarily inside the kingdom. You're within its borders. I see. Sorry. I'm just lost. I can understand that, but you fell from the sky. How did you do that? Did you run out of magic? I did. Him going to bring his hand up, and a kid does a walking to the room as a fireball does ignite in his hand. Him dispersing it and feeling how odd that sensation was this time. And the kid does talk about it. He's a mage? Him turning his head and staring at them. The kid has dirty blonde hair and a face Izuku he recognizes himself. One he hasn't seen in probably about a decade. And he does it turn back to the woman who looks just like his mother. But small little details. The hair, the eyes, and, well, just her appearance. She's almost an exact replica. I mean, just some hair dye contacts and it's her. And his eyes, they do show a bit of sadness. Are you alright? Even her voice. I haven't heard it in so long. Yes, I'm fine. Sorry. I'm just worried about my friend. Are you? Yes. Listen, I appreciate what you've done for me. Careful now. Him holding onto his right shoulder. Whenever Izuku does to fully stand up, he doesn't see the bandages covering his torso. And he doesn't ask about his armor. Oh, her going to walk over and grab Deku's boots. Her asking about the strange material. It's not like anything she's seen before. It's expensive. Her handing him the armor piece and asking about it. Him beginning to put on his boots and telling the woman. He's sorry. He never got her name. You may call me Yamada. Nice to meet you. I'm Izuku. I see. It is a pleasure to meet you. Her bowing her head. And he does get to see that. It's so weird being here. I mean, he almost wants to stay. But he's got to get back to Bitopia. How does he get there, though? Him looking at the corner of his vision and seeing the blinking tab. Before he does a talk about it. He appreciates what they've done for him. Going to put his boots on and go to stand. Slipping on his shirt and going to open his hand. Right now, him going to have a bit of his armor pieces begin to form in his palm and go putting them on. The woman's staring at Deku. As right now, he does put on the attire of a shogun. Manifesting his sword belt and going to clasp it around his waist. Asking how many days he's been out of it. Just the last day. But are you sure you're in condition to move? Your body has been through much damage. I've been through far worse. It's a long story. You're a dragon slayer. Yes, that is true. Really, mister? Him turning. Yeah, really. It's not been easy, but I know a few people who are a little jealous of that. Him walking over and going to fall to a knee, staring at his doppelganger directly in the face. Before he's to bring his arm up, talking about it. Watch this. His arm shifting into a dark red pattern of scales. And the kid's eyes do go wide, as the woman does stare at that a little bit more surprised. Wow. Yeah. I've got a friend who's a dragon too. In fact, I was helping one out before I got here. Really? Yeah. In fact, you won't believe me, but I was in a place called Bitopia. What's that? Not sure. Bitopia is an upper plane. Him going to turn his head. Draconic knowledge talking to him. Thank you. It's a faraway place. That's part of the way I ended up here. Long story, though. I'm gonna leave now, Miss Yamada. I do understand. Her bowing her head and still staring at Deku. He's strong, but he's kind. His face is familiar looking, but she can't point out where it's from. Something tells her to trust this man, but he's terrifying. She's not sure why. And Izuku, he does gotta bring his hand up. Right now, him going to manifest a bag of coins before he has to walk over and bring his hand out to the woman, telling her, "This is for taking care of him." Her grabbing the bag and being alarmed by the weight of it. This is. I can't. Please. It's silver. But this is more than my husband makes in a year. Does he know I'm here? Yes, he does. Him and some of the other men, they dragged you back here. It took 3 of them to pull you back into town. I'd like to meet them then. Give them the same reward. Listen, please inform your husband that this is for helping me when you didn't have to. It's a kindness, is all. Rewarding you for your efforts. Him bowing his head the same way. And she does a somewhat smile, as he does go to express, turning to the young kid and holding up a gold coin, asking if he can fetch those guys and bring them here. And the kid, his eyes go wide staring at that, along with the woman behind him. The kid taking the coin as he has a run off. Him bursting through the door as Izuku hears a stand, going to let out a bit of a sigh and go to look down, looking at his system and going over the tutorial. As a few minutes later, the men do to come by, them seeing Deku on his feet and walking. And the idea that this guy is on his feet after making a crater that big means something. He's a dangerous man, alright. Though Izuku does hand out the rewards. And whenever he does get to the man who presumably would be Miss Yamada's husband, he does look at him. He looks exactly like his father. Him going to hold up his hand and grab the man by the arm, shaking it and expressing, "It's nice to meet him. Likewise. Maybe don't come crashing down near our city again." "Can't promise anything, sir. I've got my own journey to go on." "You said your name was Izuku, correct?" "I did." "Huh. Have I seen you somewhere?" "Are you a soldier?" "I'm trying to be. City's small, part of the local guard. Can't believe my son found a guy who fell out of the sky. I couldn't believe it myself." "Yeah, that does tend to happen. For me." "You're a dragon slayer." "I am." "You wouldn't happen to be the hero of Granola now, would you? I heard he was a dragon slayer, and you look to be about his age." "Do I?" "Yeah, you do." Him looking at the man, squeezing his arm a little tightly to confirm this, shaking his head, expressing he should be on his way. It's a bit of a journey for him. And they do understand. Watching the strange man being a walk down the road as Izuku, he does try to think about how the tutorial explained everything. And it does feel strange. He's got an empty space in his mind and he's got pain running through his body, but it doesn't bother him. Right now, he feels better, better than ever. And it does make him want to somewhat laugh out. He might still be fucking crazy. That much he's probably sure of. Though, he doesn't care. Right now, though, he's got to make a phone call. No, he's got to get back to Indra. She probably doesn't know what happened to him if he just disappeared like that. Okay, focus. Going to close his eyes, thinking about Bitopia and opening them, staring at the area around him. The ground he's walking on is the same, but the plane does begin to shift. Him watching that, and he does go to step forwards. Before he does watch the area around him begin to move and shift around again. Before he does going to step out and directly into a forest. And he does a look around, turning his head and looking up. It worked. It actually worked. Bringing his hand up to a tree. He's back, staring up and going to see where he's at. He's in the forest nearby. The fort is flying up into the air, and he does a turn flying that direction. He remembers where they are. He should get there fast, though. Him being surprised as to flap his wings again a bit strongly. And his speed, it does get him there a little quicker. And 20 minutes later, Izuku does find himself at the fort. Right now, him going to land down on the other plane. And he does begin to walk downstairs. Before he does try and whistle out for somebody. And right now, there is currently Indra. Indra, she was trying to make a plan as to where to go, where to head to. Try and talk to somebody, perhaps a duke. See if they might have something on this plane for her to handle. Make a deal and potentially try and find another portal. I mean, it's got to be an option, right? A device to shift through the planes, a magical item like that. It's got to cost a lot of money. If she can, she'll outright pay for it and go home. But that wasn't an option. It didn't seem like it was. Her somewhat poking at her breakfast, as right now, there is where she does get a strange sensation in her mind. Miss me? Her jumping up, looking around, and turning her head to the door. As Deku does talk about it. He wasn't gone for too long, was he? I must be losing it. Come on now. I don't think so. Him walking over and going to pull her into a tight hug. Her jumping up into his arms whenever she's going to realize he's real. And she does go to pull her hand back, smack him across the face, and grab him by his collar, yelling at him. She can't believe he did that. What the hell did he do? He just died and he's back? He vanished. She thought he was taken to the gods. She is so mad she can't think about what to say to him. She is just... What happened to him? Deku kissing her. And this, it does surprise her before she's to bring her hands up and go to grab Deku by the back of his head, pulling him in tighter. And the two, they do just sit there for a minute before someone does go stepping into the room holding the baby dragon. The old man looking at Deku and Indra before he does bring his hand up covering the dragon's eyes, coughing and informing the both of them. Perhaps they could save that for later. The two of them both going to pull away, as Deku does still hold Indra in his embrace. Sorry. It's, how long has passed here? I'm worried about that. About a day. I see. That's good. I thought a few years might have passed here and I was concerned. I'm not that easily swayed. What do you mean by that? I was gonna stay here for some time. Try and gain my bearing and see what I could do. He asked me to help him with something, and I think it might be easier with your help. Him turned to the old man, who does it express, bring up his hands about how he needs his aid in slaying the Kraken. Do you? Yes. It killed my friend and has plagued this plane for too long. Left unchecked, it will kill more. And these little gifts, they will be taken out in time. If I fail on my quest alone, then I fear what will happen to them. I understand. You do not. Their mother was killed by it. She wounded it, but even I fear my strength alone may not be enough. I need your help, please. I get it. Trust me. I'll help you. You've done more than I could ever repay. Then don't worry about it. Consider the Kraken me doing my job. You've become a planeswalker. Truly, you have. Yes. Did you know this would happen? I did not. I thought you would break of your curse, not break of your bonds as a mortal. I see. My magical power feels different, though. It is essence. I see. But I don't get it. It doesn't feel that far off. They're nearly exactly the same. Though the power flowing through your body, it will take time to understand it. For right now, I'd say to be careful with it. Over time, it will fully convert to essence. What we've done now is expedite much of the process. Can I use it? You can, but it may have more disastrous effects. It is more concentrated to pull from. I noticed that. If that's the case, then my destruction magic should be good. Destruction. Yes. Creation and destruction go in line. It is only fitting. Deku gonna stand. The old man, watching Deku walk by him as the dragon, does chirp out, flying free from the old man's hands and going to land on Deku's shoulder. It planting a sloppy kiss with the tongue directly on the side of his face. Him laughing out and going to grab the dragon by its neck, trying to hold it far away from his mouth so it doesn't try to lick his face again. Him trying to wipe the side of his face down and make his way down the stairs. Sitting it down and going to walk over. And he does begin to bring his hand up, going to cast a spell with his regular magic energy. Though he does have an idea. He'll cast it with essence, and that should work. Him going to do so. Bringing his hand up his four magic sigils, you go to appear. And Izuku, he does go to cast. The four eggs begin to move, and Izuku looking down at his hand, bringing up his right hand and flexing them. It's incredible. He doesn't feel fatigue. He wouldn't have been able to do that before. Does Monopore really get that much more powerful? These abilities, they're strong. The old man looking down, watching the four hatchlings beginning to chirp out and move, them hungry, wanting something to eat after their long slumber. And the old man, he does go to provide, setting down a massive slab of meat as the four do go to tear into it, them chirping out and trying to say something to each other. Him listening to the small sounds of these creatures. The fifth one flying over and landing on the back of Deku's head, it perching itself partly on his armor. And he does go to turn to the old man, bringing his hand up as the dragon does firmly hold on to its hair, talking about it. Thank you. You've done much for this old man. We had a deal. I must thank you as well. My mind is so cloudy. Clear. I still remember everything I saw, but the intensity of it all is gone. I can sort through it and it's still grotesque to look at, but it doesn't feel fresh. None of it does. Yes. I understand. You've done well. Now, I will contact Jogam. He will know what is happening. I will also contact my old friend. As much as I do hate it, I wish him to take care of them and something does happen. What do you mean? We are going to fight. I will be there with you. These children will live a life peacefully for as long as I may live. If I die today, then that pink bastard will help them. Jogam will help them for however long he has left. Many people are well aware what they mean, what they symbolize. They will help wherever they can, wherever they will be. It does seem like that one is a fondness for you. Yeah, I think so. Him patting the dragon on the top of its head. Feeling bad since Astoth isn't here. And he does to ask if he should call his familiar. And the man, he does go to nod his head, expressing, this is a battle. They need all they can against it. Right now, what is his familiar? Take a shot in the dark. He's not going to get it. I see. It may work. Deku going to do one thing. Angel just watched Deku turn his head, looking up. And then his eyebrows do get a move with his eyes. Him stepping to the side and directly away. As right now, he does go to find himself back on the material plane, stepping out and onto a large mountain, nearby the ocean. And he does go to bring his hand up and whistle out loudly, mentally messaging his familiar, telling Astoth, maybe stop fishing. Right now they've got to go get something a lot bigger than those fish. And the creature, it does go to roar out with glee, expressing that Master has returned. And Izuku, he does sit there for a second before a massive head does poke its way out of the water. And he does see a dragon go to fly its way towards him. Him bringing his hands up and going to have it smash into his torso. It picking him up and going to take in a whiff of his scent. Before it does try to nuzzle into him, and Deku does hang off of the dragon's face. Him going to finally be set down as he does go crashing down onto his feet, bringing his hand up. Hey buddy, it's been a while. Where did you go? Long story. I thought you died. I thought so too. Listen, we need to go help a new friend of mine. Are you up for it? Yes. Good. Patting it on its skull, telling the dragon, it will be a dangerous journey, but the reward is going to be good. He hopes he's hungry. Really? Yes, buddy. Deku going to get onto the dragon's back, and he does try to think, focusing on it before he does get to tell Astoth. Right now, him watching energy coalesce around the two of them, and they do go to fly. Right now, them going to fly through the sky into Bitopia. And Indra does a look up, watching the two fly through a portal. And she does stare up in awe. Her mind trying to wrap itself around what Deku's become. It's incredible. Impossible. And she does have a smile on her face. The old man going to watch the dragon land down before he goes to walk over. Astoth turning to the other and glaring at it. Going to let out a bit of a growl as Deku does go to turn, patting him on the snout and informing him, this is a friend. It stepping forwards and expressing, they are going to be doing much. Is he hungry? They do have quite the feast ahead of them. How does he feel about ocean food? The dragon roaring out with approval, talking about it. Good. They are going to fly. They are going to soar. And they are going to feast. When that is said and done, then, and only then, will things return to normal here. Him turning, expressing to Izuku about what they'll do. And right now, he does go to step out of the fortress and take on his gigantic size. Deku watching him grow larger than he ever thought a dragon could. He's huge, the size of Atrigue. And right now, Deku, he does stare at the man, who does inform him. Come on, his voice booming. They must now leave. Deku turning to Indra, who does go to walk over to Astoth, going to pull his snout into a hug, talking about how she missed the little bastard. And he does get someone turn, trying to lick her face. Her going to back away and go further down his neck, talking about it. No, he is not doing that again. And it does somewhat chirp out a few noises. Right now, Deku turning his head and seeing the 5 dragons that do somewhat sit there. Him going to bring his head up and say in Draconic, all of them need to stay here. And they will be safe. There is food further down below. And right now, they're going to do something. One stepping forwards and going to let out a whining sound towards Deku. Him looking at it, before he has to bring his hand up and out of his inventory. Before he does, going to set down a massive slab of meat in front of them. Them rushing towards it and biting into it. Him laughing at his Astoth does take flight, him and Indra on his back, making their way through the sky towards the ocean. In a city down below, they do go to watch on. Someone gonna look up and turn their head, watching as a massive dragon does soar overhead, along with the ancient steel dragon in its true form. And when they do to see the direction they're heading in, people, they do begin to shout out, roaring out with approval for what they know and believe may be happening. And right now, there is where someone, they do get the information, jumping up and drawing their blade, informing them about what they'll be doing. Today is the day a kraken dies. The ocean will run red, and they will feed on the beast and make sure it returns back to hell. This land will become right again. It will only have good, and evil will finally fall. Now, with that being said, they do begin to approach the ocean. Deku, he's got a lot of things going through his mind. First of all, he's riding into combat on his dragon companion, and flying next to him in the air as a dragon as large as a modern day building. It's impressive. But then there's that woman he saw before. If he could tell his mother about this, he's become a planeswalker. He can walk through realms. And this thought, it is quelled by Deku's current situation. They're in combat. Right now, him staring at the massive blue ocean that does reflect up towards the other ocean. And it's so eerie to look at. It's beautiful. It almost looks like a regular scene at the beach. But he knows it's not. Knowing that he can reach out and just with a little bit of thought, fly up there and go to that ocean, it means so much. But then there's this current situation. Him going to stand on Azov's back and use evaluation, trying to find where the Kraken might be. And he does get to hear the voice of Zardeth, asking exactly if he has any ideas. And the two, they do both try to talk about it. They weren't too sure what to plan out. They were just told not to go by the ocean. They've been flying over it and haven't seen anything. I mean, hell, it's supposed to be here, right? I mean, it should be. This one is mind. And Deku, he does watch clouds begin to form in the distance. And this, it does go to catch his attention. As the dragon, it does stare at that as well. Izuku going to see that for a minute before he does turn his head, realizing there's no other clouds in the sky. They may not exist on this plane. He hasn't seen one, at least to his knowledge. And right now, he does go to scream out for Zardeth to dodge, since that's lightning. And the dragon does get to do so. Right now, it going to dive upwards and feel the shift of gravity reversing. And Izuku, he does bring his hand down, going to tell Azoth to dive. And right now, to try and fend himself. They've got to try and worry about themselves. The dragon understanding. Deku going to fall off, as right now he does go to throw his hand, going to create a barrier that does protect his companion from a bolt of lightning that is trying to strike him. And he does begin to hear a voice go to scream out in his mind. It's roaring about how it's the master of this plane. It has made a home here. And Deku, he does watch tendrils begin to shoot up out of the ocean. And they are massive. Right now, him staring at that, where he's at turn and look down, seeing that the Kraken does get to raise itself up and out of the water. Him hearing everything disperse. It going to roar out and going to make its presence known. And Izuku, he does get to watch that. It does have a strange armor to it. Some sort of shell, but he does get to stare at it. It's blinded in the left eye. It has a scar, battle damage from a prior battle. That must be where the adamantine dragon struck it, where it left one hell of a mark. They can abuse that. And right now, Izuku, he ends up flying in. Him going to bring up his hand and go to charge up his draconic fire. Him going to begin putting more components in the spell before he's at air break. Him going to dodge the attack that does try to strike him. And whenever he does go to fly to the right around it, he has a blast out with red lightning. It striking the creature as it'll roar out in pain. One of its massive tendrils going to shoot up and try to attack Izuku. As the steel dragon, it does come roaring down. Right now, it going to bring up its massive arms and begin an incantation. As Deku, he has to fly backwards and go to draw his blade. Well aware that this is going to be good. And whenever the Kraken is that turns attention, it is to shoot a good number of tendrils directly up towards the steel dragon. Deku, looking at that, where he uses a turn, rushing at the tentacles and going to try and strike them. Him going to cut into one and go to slice it. It beginning to bleed as Izuku, he does get covered in some of the acidic blood. Right now, him going to hear it sizzle as he does going to feel it affect him. He feels pain. And right now, he does go to spin. Him using his abilities and going to rush in and activate his draconic empowerment. And his strength does grow by 3 times. Right now, him going to slice the tendril as it does grow out in massive amount of pain. It, alarmed, we're taking a massive beam of sunlight directly to its face. And Izuku, he does go to turn. Azoth going to focus and fly in. Him going to bombard it with a lightning spell. Deku turning his head and staring at his dragon, since he didn't know that was a thing. And right now he does a look at Indra, who does go to raise her hands as it a massive fireball down their way. And he does get a turn. It being bombarded by these attacks as Izuku, he does go to be struck in the back. It alarming him as he does go arcing through the air with a giant tendril. It crashing down into the ocean as Izuku, he does go to let go of one of his swords. Right now him going to try and regain his bearing, looking down and going to fly/swim after his weapon, going to reach out for it and go to pull on it with tendrils. The water beginning to form around it and pull towards him. It getting into his hand as tendrils begin to try and wrap around Deku. And whenever this does happen, Izuku, he does go to do one very, very simple thing. He does go to use destruction magic, using it to create a barrier around himself that does rip the tendrils to shreds, them being destroyed as Deku does take in a breath of air with the water going to disperse around him as well. And whenever that does happen, he does go to shoot upwards and crashing back into the ocean, shooting up and out as the creature does go to turn looking at him, not aware of what attack he might have used against it. And it does a roar out tendrils directly at him. The steel dragon going to fly around and coming in for its own assault. And Izuku, he does see that. Right now, him going to move to the left and go to make sure he's in its line of sight. And the Kraken, it does go after him, trying to make sure it knows where he's at. And Lightning, it does try to crash down to Izuku, him holding up his hand and going to catch the lightning in his left hand, holding it up as he does get glare directly at the Kraken. It's staring at him as he is to take the spell and blast it directly at the Kraken himself, before he is to bring up his right hand and go to do one simple thing, spinning his wrist as tendrils do shoot up from the water below, and they do begin to wrap around the massive creature. The steel dragon crashing into its back and going to chomp directly down on its massive armor, trying to bite through its head and kill it. Right now, him going to watch on. And this, it's an incredible sight, though it's also dangerous. Right now, he has a plan. Okay, they're going to have to take this a lot more seriously. No, destruction magic's off the table. Ice. Ice. Deku going to bring his hands up as his swords do disappear. And he does go to begin to freeze the area around the Kraken. Him going to use his maximum level of ice magic. Sub-zero magic, I mean. Now, Izuku, he does begin to watch the ice go to freeze around the Kraken and its tendrils trying to fight to move, try and fight to get free. And he does a turn roaring out for Indra and Astoth to go in. Indra, understanding her, flying down with her dual blades and going to go directly for some of the tendrils that do look a little too large, that are way too strong. And Astoth, he does have a prize in mind. Him going to fly directly down and going for its face. And he does watch his familiar, the one that was the size of a cat, bite into a Kraken's eye, it roaring out and screeching out in pain, as he does go to hear a loud pop, tearing it free as the Kraken is trying to bring up a tendril. Deku going to blitz it as he does, gonna fly fast, right on him slicing through it with his blade covered in destruction magic. Before he does watch the arc of the attack gonna fly into the distance. It going to cut directly into the water and send a massive amount of it displacing. Deku staring at that for a minute and turning, going to stare at the Kraken. And he does begin to hear sounds that don't sound too well. The creature is blind, but it's not defenseless. Him yelling out for Zardith to dodge, and it does go to push off of the dragon and go to do something wrong. The ice cracking and breaking as the trap, it does go to break. And Deku does yell for Astoth to move. His familiar going to try and do so. However, when he does get to do that, he does get struck in the back by the Kraken. Deku turning his head and watching that, going to fly forwards and fast. Right on him going to grab his dragon out of the air. And he does go to ask his friend if he's okay. And the dragon, it does go to confirm this telepathically, that it's alright. And he does a turn staring at the Kraken again. Its tendrils trying to find out where they are. And it's gone mad. It has gone ravenous. Its head is damaged and it is blind. Okay, that's good. That's really good. Him going to manifest his Nodachi and hold up this weapon, beginning to cover it in a strange glow that Indra does get a stare at. And she does get to back away, feeling the oddity that does get to radiate off of it. And he does get a turn, yelling for Zardith to stay back. And the dragon does get a turn, it arcing around behind them as the Kraken does hear the direction of Deku's voice. Him screaming out, he's using something he really probably shouldn't be. The dragon giving him a massive thumbs up. And this, it is certainly a brilliant sight to behold. Blood pouring from its maw and scales. And His claws, covered in viscera, they look like that of a warrior. And he does go to get ready, covering himself in spiritual armor as spirit level 10 has activated. And he feels draconic empowerment and fury manifest. Right now, him at the pinnacle of strength, stronger than he's ever been. He feels unstoppable, going to fly forwards. Indra, having trouble tracking his movements as Deku, does go in, and the Kraken does send tendrils flying at him as he does go to slice into them. Him trying to use his destruction power as much as he can, slicing through the tendrils that do come at him. And Indra does watch the whirlwind of flesh go to pass by Deku like butter, a hot knife. That's what his blade has turned into. The Kraken roaring at his Deku, he does get in close, throwing back his left hand and going to feel how much his magic has been drained. That's the most he's ever used to destruction. However, he has one simple, going to smash his left hand forwards and punching Droki into the Kraken's skull. And he does get to feel something break underneath his punch. The force of it sends the Kraken flying backwards and going to crash down into the ocean. And right now, it does go lay there unmoving for a minute. Its tendrils trying to move as they do go to emit blood into the water. And right now, Indra does turn her head, watching as others of the realm having to fly into combat. Them staring at the Kraken that does lay there, heavily wounded. And Zarda does stare on at Deku, who does go to fly in once more. This time, him taking his sword and driving it directly down into the beast, before he does go to focus on his sword, turning it, and then go to focus on the tip of his blade, going to fire down fire magic directly into its brain. And he does begin to hear it scream out its death throes. Right now, the beast going to roar out in agony, roar out in pain, it trying to take what limbs it can and flail out towards Izuku. However, he does go to sit there, where the beast finally does go to stop its thrashing, and it does have its limbs fall limp. Right now, him pulling his blade free and turning, and many people do stare on. A human just slayed a Kraken. Him raising his blade high as people do to roar out. And Indra, she does come to fly down. Her going to land on the Kraken and go to make her way over, talking about it. She's fairly certain he just became a legend in this realm. Maybe. But we became legends. Yeah, maybe. Though, how are we supposed to get this thing back to shore? Him turning to the giant creature, turning to the pieces that do float in the ocean. Before he does, go to turn seeing Aztoth, currently swimming around in some of the water, as he does have a massive piece of the Kraken meat in his maw. Turning to the giant dragon and going to yell out for Zardith, asking if he knows a way to get back to shore. And he does, because someone begin to chuckle out, the booming laughter almost as loud as thunder. And some people do to make their way over, going to ask if he may need some help. And right now, Izuku, he does bring his hand down, grabbing onto the Kraken and focusing, before its body does find itself in his inventory. Indra beginning to fall as Deku, he does throw his hands out, grabbing her as he does manifest his wings flying upwards into the air. Water rushing into the spot that needs to be filled. And Aztoth does even find himself being pulled that direction in the current. Her, being princess scared as Deku, does go talk about it. He's got the biggest chunk. Though, how do they feel about seafood? Someone going to express. They feel pretty good about it. With the ocean safer now, then it will be proper time to sail and hunt again. Good. Happy to be helpful. You have leveled up. Deku turning to Indra. I'd say this calls for a celebration. It does. Now, can you put me down? I have wings myself, you know. Him nodding his head. Before he does go to drop her. Her going to crash down into the water. And she does go look up towards him. Him talking about it. She said to put her down. Her glaring up at him before going to laugh. That was a little fun. Though, if they're going to be facing stuff like that on the daily now, she'd like a bit of a warning. That her only warning to Izuku. And he does nod his head, understanding and talking about it. One of them taking the pieces of the Kraken they can back to shore. And people, they are baffled to hear about this. Towns near the ocean were abandoned, and it does take a little bit of a journey. But they begin to fry up this monster. They begin to feast on its flesh and understand these complex flavors they haven't had in centuries. Some people are not fans. Others, they indulge. There's plenty to go around. And Izuku, he does go to sit here. Him going to look at a massive chunk he does currently have on his plate. Taking out his short blade and going to pour flames through it. It going to ignite as he does go to wave it free and going to cut into it. Talking about it with Indra. You know, it's still pretty impressive. It is. Though, you're a planeswalker now? Yeah, there's that. What happened to you? Where did you go? Well, I don't know. My memory ends at me just... the boom, and then I wake up in a crater. That's all I got. I guess you probably missed the part where you died. I died. Yeah, you died. Honestly, I was gonna try and find you and kick your ass. But then you disappeared. Lucky too. I'm not exactly sure how I can get to the land of the dead. Or hell. I feel like you'd probably end up in hell. Good luck. I don't think they can keep me there for that long. Probably not. Probably not. So what's our plan? Him turning to Zardeth. And right now, the old man, he does sit there with the other dragonkin. The guy is flabbergasted by what he's seeing. And people, they are alarmed by it. 5 adamantine dragons, alive and before their very eyes. Even Jack is here. And he does stare on, both alarmed and happy. He's quiet. He's not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he must be deep in thought. And Izuku, he does have some thoughts of his own. Going back to Granala, after all this time, calling Bakugo, calling Ochako, seeing how they are after so long, it doesn't feel right. He'd like to see them in person, but he's not sure how they'd react to him just popping up. Can he even do that? I mean, that one tap said it was more dangerous and unpredictable, but as long as he's halfway in between the realms, it should be fine. Speaking of that, he does still need to kind of work on that demi-plane idea. See what we can do with that. Ezekiel? Sorry. Yeah. We need to head back to the material plane. I think your dad might be happy to find out I accomplished that task of his, even though I'm a few months overdue on it. I'm sure he'll be happy. And I'm sure if we head back to Granala, then things could be good as well. Maybe. We don't know what the situation is like there, too. Honestly, I'm a bit worried myself. If the Demon Lord's army has finally invaded, then that could be troublesome for us. It could be. You're not wrong. Him nodding his head, biting into some of the squid as he does, to pull something out from his inventory, handing it over to Indra as he does pour some of it onto the squid, her stirring it and sniffing, recognizing it as soy sauce, one of the best things Izuku either invented or made. And right now, she does go to pour it onto the squid, the two conversing about their next plans. And as the two are talking, there is an adamantine dragon. It has been flying through the air. People have been feeding it, petting it, and singing praise, and he's even heard a bard sing a song about it. But there's one person it's looking for specifically. And when they do see that dark mop of hair on Deku's head next to the red-haired woman, they do go to fly over. Right now, Deku going to have the dragon land on his shoulder and head, it chirping out a few noises as it does get to coil itself around Deku's shoulder. It going to wrap around the back of his neck and go to hold on. Him going to turn looking at that, before he does bring up his left hand and pat the dragon on its head, talking about it. Hey, they're not going to be staying for very long. They kind of have to go soon. Yeah, it was nice to meet you, but we kind of can't let you come with us. Zardith going to walk over, talking about it. That one is quite fond of him. Is it? Yes, it is. This land will be safe. I will spend my remaining decades making sure of this. Perhaps Aurora will reward me in some way. Perhaps my second chance won't be so bad. Thank you. No problem. But, about, the dragon on my neck, it has yet to be named. I have not named it, but I'm sure you will figure something out. What do you mean? It has imprinted on you, Izuku. Who am I to pull it away from its parent? That... So you want me to take it with me? Yes, unless you plan to stay. I'm not gonna lie, staying wouldn't be so bad. I mean, this place is nice. A little crazy, but nice. Yes. May Aurora guide your hand and safe travels, hero. Him nodding his head, before Deku does go to look at the dragon. Him going to hold one of the wyvernlings and walk away. Him with a bright smile on his face. And him and Indra, they do go to leave. Right on them getting on Astoth's back as the baby dragon, it does a chirp out. Astoth chirping back as Deku, him and Indra, they do go to take to the sky. Him focusing on his abilities. And we do to shift back over to the material plane, Deku, he does go to fly through the air. Right now, them going to land on a mountain top. And it does a somewhat shake and move with the sound as Hoth has when he landed on it. And there is where they go to walk down the staircase and into the room. A man sitting there sipping his tea before he does go to turn his head and see the two. Right now, him turning his head surprised. You two have been gone for quite some time. Did you get lost? Perhaps you. What is that? It's a long story, Atrig. I believe it is. The adamantine dragon going to fly off of his shoulder and land in front of Atrig. It going to chirp out some noises before he does bring his hand up. What are you? Your scales. You're new. It's an adamantine dragon. We were in Bitopia. Him turning his head. Where? Like I said, long story. After I slayed the red dragon, we got lost in the Underdark. Found an ancient city after gladiators in the. We'll tell you in the morning. Long story short, things went crazy, as you see. We adjusted. I slayed 2 more dragons. Indra got 1, and we just got back from another dimension. I see. How did you accomplish this? A device? No. That's the craziest part. Apparently, I'm a planeswalker. You are? Yeah. Him bringing his hand up, talking about it. I mean, he can see into other dimensions. Some are beautiful, some are crazy, others are horrifying. But as long as he does focus on them, he knows they exist. There's so many to look at, and there's some he doesn't want to. It takes more effort, but if he does try to step into one he hasn't been to before, it takes more magic. And that's another story at the moment. Him nodding, sipping his tea as Deku tells him. They'll discuss it in the morning. For right now, they're going to bed. Indra going to turn to Izuku and go to follow him. Right now, the two heading into the same room. And Atrig does somewhat notice that, sipping his tea calmly and turning to the Wyvernling, talking about it. Perhaps you'll have a chat with that young man tomorrow morning about boundaries. The dragon chirping out, and Atrig nods his head. Yes, that would be quite fitting. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.